Welcome to this week's episode of the People Success Circle podcast. I'm very excited to have my colleague with me. Her name is Alexis King, and Alexis is someone that I met through a speaker program. We are both fellow keynote speakers. And after getting to know her work a little bit, I was like, I need her to be on my podcast so that she can share her wealth of knowledge with all of you. So, with that, welcome, Alexis.
Thank you so much. So good to be here, Mindy. I'm
Great.
excited.
I know, me too. Me too. I feel like, we met over a virtual program. And so anytime we can spend extra time learning about someone's background and really just learning from each other, I think it makes us all better. So thank you so much for being here. I want to start out by really learning more about your career journey and what you're doing today. Because what I have known about you in the short time we've known each other is that you are a woman who wears many hats, and I think that it would be so great for you to unpack that for us. So if you don't mind, start out with that.
Certainly, of course. So just go back. I actually started my career in banking and finance and
Okay.
insurance. So I was in banking for many years, like more than 15 years, a couple of
Wow.
different big banks,
Hmm.
3 or 4 years at this bank, 3 or 4 years at that bank, 3 or 4 years at the next bank. That's how you would move up back
Yeah.
then.
Yeah.
We're definitely going way back. Some of those banks don't even exist anymore. They've been taken over by other banks. So
Yep.
uh,
Mergers. Yes.
yeah, it was a great experience, and I learned a lot about myself and what I enjoyed doing and
Hmm.
also what I didn't enjoy doing. And I moved up, of course, over the years from literally a teller in college
Mm,
to branch management, leadership, and then I actually ended up being a corporate trainer for the bank where I would travel to different branches and work
okay.
with the teams. And that was the most fun role I had in banking. But then, of course, when you're in banking, you have to expect to be laid off, which is
Mhm.
exactly what happened. The bank just made a change and they decided that they were going to get rid of these. It was 650 of us. So I wasn't personally insulted.
Right. Right.
All of us
That's
in
a
the
big layoff. Yeah.
all of us in North America who were in that particular training role were let go, and it was just a
Mm,
great opportunity. And actually, at the time, I was working with a coach, a career or life coach,
yeah.
whatever name you're most comfortable with. She was just my person.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
she was amazing. I met her at a wedding. We were both
Oh,
at the same
wow.
bridal party 2 years before, and I remember she told me that she was an executive coach, a life coach, and I just remember thinking, "So silly.
Yeah.
That's not even a real thing. Do people pay you for this?" I remember I totally thought that. But then I had spent a little time with her understanding what she did and how she asked questions, and I thought, "Well, that's interesting." 2 years later, I get laid off. I give her a call and she was like, "So are you calling me to just say, you're not sure about what to do next? Or do you really want to get some help and unpack some things?" And I was like, "I
Mm,
need all of your services."
yeah.
So that helped me understand then. To give you a time frame, 2012 was when I was laid off. And that was when I learned. She asked me really tough questions like, out of all the jobs you've had, what did you like doing the most?
Mm,
What did you like doing the least?
hmm.
What you like doing the most? Where can we find a job for you where it's more of that? Because my pattern had been, I'll just go to the next bank and do the same thing. So there was definitely a good chance I would have gone to bank number four
Yeah.
and worked there for 3 or 4 years doing some kind of a similar role and not really being fulfilled.
Hmm.
What ended up happening was I uncovered that I enjoyed learning and development. I enjoyed training. I enjoyed working with others and helping them grow. So I became a corporate trainer, which meant an independent corporate trainer. So I was traveling all over the
Yeah.
world
Wow.
doing 3 and 4 day seminars on professional selling skills, customers service, leadership, all of
Hmm.
those things from some of the classic like Franklin Covey
Yeah.
organization.
And was that your own business?
Well, you were an independent contractor, so
Okay. I
yeah.
see.
So they
I
would
see.
kind of book you and say, "Would you like to do this job?" But it was great because I got exposed to many different
Yeah.
organizations,
Yeah.
from
It's great
biomed,
experience.
pharmaceuticals, investment organizations. One of my favorites was, the biggest phone company. I did one of the 2 largest phone companies in America.
Wow.
So NDAs out there, but it was
Yeah.
great training.
Yeah, I bet. I bet. And so I can see why you like that because that seems like the path you've continued. as you've changed your career and gone in other directions?
Yeah, so I did that for a couple of years and I really enjoyed it. And then I got this call and they said, "Hey, we are looking for someone. We found you on LinkedIn. We're
Mm,
looking for someone with your background to be the sales trainer for North America for a medium sized international company." And I
okay.
thought, well, this would be an excellent opportunity. So I went back into corporate, back into, working as the on-site L&D sales
Mhm.
trainer. And it was, again, great opportunity, great networking, learned a lot about, first of all, how things had changed
Yeah.
between 2012 and 2016, 17. A lot had changed.
I love that you said someone found you on LinkedIn because I feel like it is still so underutilized. LinkedIn is still so underutilized, I think, for job seekers. So I think that's good that your profile was obviously attractive enough to someone to reach out to you, which is so key.
It really does work because then 2 years later, someone else from LinkedIn reached out and was like, "We've got an offer for you." And
Amazing.
it was ideal. It got me into tech, which was
Okay.
very foreign for me because I'd just been in banking and kind of independent for so long. And I just remember thinking when I got this role, oh my goodness,
Yeah.
I don't know any, I'm not even on social media. I'm not
Mm,
in tech. It's not my thing. Again, it's
yeah.
still 2018. So
Yeah.
many people were, but I wasn't. So even
Mm,
my family was laughing. They're like, "You're not even on Facebook. How are you going to work at a company that's
yeah.
very techy?" But that is also the beginning of when I started to understand some of the concepts that I talk about in my book
Hmm.
and the skills that I needed to use to adapt to this new world.
Yeah.
I had to be very humble. I also, at the time, I felt like I was the oldest person on the floor in my building because everyone in tech, well, many people in tech were very, very young or younger
Yes.
than me.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
had to adjust to, wow, this is a different environment. The vibe is different. It's just not as conservative. Everyone dressed different,
Yeah.
spoke different. So
So
that
different than banking, right?
it was. But then
I mean,
also, I didn't even know the lingo in tech.
mhm.
There were words I didn't know. Biz dev was
Yeah.
business development. In banking, nobody says that. You go and you do your job and you get the customers and you take care of them and you
Yes.
cross sell and you upsell and you get them to buy more credit cards or get a mortgage or what have you. But we didn't say like there's a biz dev team.
Yeah. Right.
And MVP means minimum viable product.
Okay. Okay. I
Not
don't know that
most
I knew
valuable
that, but
player on
okay.
the team. I did not know that. So these
Yeah.
are the things. And by asking a lot of questions and allowing myself to be humble, I ended up in a short period of time becoming the subject matter expert because I also had all the answers after
Yeah.
about a year.
Yeah.
So then leadership at the organization was reaching out to me, asking me, can I help train their new people or help onboard new team members? I was known as the person with resource. I created a newsletter just for our department
Yeah.
every month, sharing things that I learned or articles and things like that. And that made me in the spotlight and it changed the trajectory of my career because then I was promoted
Yeah.
into a leadership and
So you
great
took
things
a lot of
happened.
initiative within that role and, made sure that you knew what was going on in the department and the company, but also took the initiative to share that with other people.
Yeah, that made a difference. But I do like to share.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too. Me too. And is that where you're currently still working?
Correct. This is 8 years I've been at the
Okay.
company that I'm at now, so it's been fantastic. Yes, I currently work for LinkedIn. They are the ones who called me and said, "We've got a role for you in our learning and development team for LinkedIn Learning." And
Yeah.
I thought, "That sounds perfect. I love
Yeah.
learning. I love sharing." So I
Yeah,
fit
and
in
so
there.
when your family was saying, "Gosh, you don't even do technology," you probably were like, "Okay, I would like to work for LinkedIn, and I do have a lot to learn," right?
Absolutely. It was
Yeah.
almost overwhelming.
Yeah, what a great team to be part of, though. LinkedIn Learning is such a great resource for people. There's so much valuable training on there.
People really like it.
Yeah, yeah, it's great. And so let's talk about what you do in addition to your corporate job because that's how we met in,
Yes.
learning how to be keynote speakers. And so I'd love to hear more about what you do and that entrepreneurial side of your career.
Yes, how it started that got me to the thinking about being a keynote speaker and coaching was I started a real estate business on the
Okay.
side during the pandemic,
Yeah.
I did buy some properties up in the mountain areas near my house, about 2 hours north
Mhm.
of New York City in the Pennsylvania mountains and also in the upstate New York mountains.
Okay.
My cousin and I became business partners, and we bought 4 houses, and then we started doing Airbnb, and then we
Yeah.
learned all about real estate, and then I got even more involved in real estate, and I started doing more advanced and complicated deals and going to real estate conferences and learning more. That started my entrepreneurship because I was a landlord, I'm owning
Yeah.
properties. I became an investor. So all of those things were great skills. So then I had to start a separate business, get, another LLC and just learn about operating a real estate
Yeah.
investment business. So
And
that was
rental properties, right?
yes. And I was doing it really well and things were going well and people would just reach out like, you should do coaching, you should help, you should lean into real estate, you could tell your story, you could do this. And I thought, well, if I'm going to do this, I want to do it right. So I
Mhm.
wanted to get organized. And that is how you and I met at
Yeah.
Mike Drop Academy because that program really helped me with my foundation on what it means to be a speaker, how to do it properly, and what else I needed to set up so that I would be successful
Yeah.
as a speaker. And that's been going great. So
Yeah,
that
great.
continues and contributes to my entrepreneurship journey and the other things that I get involved in.
Yeah. So I do want to talk about your book, but before I do that, I want to ask you one more entrepreneur question. Tell me why you think it's so important to have that entrepreneurial side as well as your steady corporate job. And also, if there are people out there who are thinking, gosh, I have a full time job and I would like to, explore an idea for a business, I'd love to hear your advice for them.
One of the main things these days is I believe in multiple streams of income. You have to set yourself up for success. And what that looks like for you is going to be different than what it looks like for other people. What is important is to find out what you're interested in. I
Hmm.
literally fell into real estate. It was not really something that I thought of and it came from a conversation of we should go away and do a quarantine vacation because this was literally pre-vaccine. So
Oh, okay.
we were
Yeah.
going to rent a cabin, and then we thought, why don't we just buy this one house and then we can use it for our vacation getaway? And then that went really well, really smooth, really successful. 3 months later, we were buying others. So you don't
Yeah.
always know ahead of time, but be open to ideas and concepts and things that are new. And once I did that, then I realized I could be open to other things.
Mhm.
So for anyone who's interested, find out what are you good at? What would people pay you for? What do people pay others for that you're not
Mhm.
even asking for? Is that joining a business that already exists, doing something on the side, doing something you enjoy? There's so many different options and it's individual. Don't feel
Mhm.
like you have to do what someone else does to be successful. And you could start making purses out of extra material from the clothes in your closet and next thing you know, you're an internet sensation and everyone wants to buy tiny little purses that you made from scraps of clothes in your closet.
Yeah.
There's just no wrong way to do it.
There's endless ideas, right? Endless ideas on starting a business. What advice would you have for somebody who has a corporate job but is like, "You know what? Maybe I would like to try something different."
Well, one of the things that I think is really critical, even if you currently are employed and you have a job that you love, is
Mhm.
to be open to setting yourself up for success in the future and or for the unexpected.
Mhm.
Just because you want to do something else or you have interests or a hobby that could turn into the term now is side hustle,
Yes.
doesn't mean that you have to quit your job. It's definitely great to get started while you're still working. And then if that takes off, then you can take that option. But
Mhm.
there are so many reasons why and how to continue working and still do your side business. It's really about, and this is a little bit about what's in my book, which is a good segue, is prioritizing and setting yourself up for success with boundaries. So
Mm.
I do a lot of time blocking. I do a
Mhm.
lot of just mental blocking or certain days of the week. I know ahead of time when I'll be putting which effort into where and when to say no and push back.
Mhm.
That helps me keep clear and it helps me stay on track on what I'm going to follow up on, where, what I have time to do, what I can execute on, what is maybe too much. Don't put too much on your plate. Don't feel like, a side job doesn't have to be another job that's 40 hours a week. That's 2
Right.
jobs. It
Yes.
should be something that you can do 20 hours a month.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
makes a huge difference, and when you start out with that mindset of, "I don't have to go all in, I just have to make sure I have either 5 hours a week or 10 hours on 1 week." That could mean
Yeah.
1 whole Saturday, 8 hours on Saturday, and then the next week and a half or to do whatever else you need to do with. So you break it up.
Yeah, I love that because I think so many times we think we wouldn't have time to do both or build another revenue stream. But if you are really just thinking about it in smaller doses and not thinking like you're not asking for another full time job, you're asking for something that you could plant a seed and see where it goes.
I call it ruthless prioritization.
Ruthless prioritization. That's a skill. That's a good skill. I feel like we could do a whole nother podcast talking about ruthless prioritization. That's a good topic. Okay, let's talk about your book. So, your book is called The Career Ninja Mindset, and that's such a distinctive name. Tell me where the name came from and a little bit about your book.
Certainly. The name came from actually that speaking course that we were in. As we were doing introductions, but because this was a couple years back, we were doing introductions with other speakers. We would set up time to meet each other.
Yes, yeah.
And I was telling my story similar to what I just shared about
Mhm.
how I changed careers. I went from banking to corporate training and now learning and development, and then tech, and then real estate, and now
Yeah.
coaching and speaking. And the person said to me, like, "You're a ninja then. You're like a transition ninja."
Yeah.
And I thought, that is pretty cool, but that's also pretty accurate.
Yeah.
And then that led me to the name of the book and then kind of how I structured it in thinking about focus,
Mhm.
adaptability, flexibility,
Yeah.
being prepared. These are all things that ninjas do in
Mhm.
order to be ready for the unexpected,
Right. Right.
which is how you have to live in corporate America these days.
Yeah.
Ready
Yeah.
for the unexpected. And it doesn't always have to be disaster in that you're laid off. Unexpected can be we have laid off people, you are staying, but now you're doing this responsibility and this responsibility. Unexpected can be you're now reporting to Janice instead of Michael. Like
Mhm.
there can just be different changes that impact you, and you have got to be ready and able to adapt and quickly so that
Yeah.
you can stay at your peak productivity.
I love that. I honestly did not know the story behind the name of your book, but that is so true when it comes to people in the workplace, even if they're not in corporate, if they're in education or something else. Like one thing we know is true and that we can all expect is change. I
Yes.
can't think of an industry that is, free from change, right? Whether it's AI or like you said, layoffs or new bosses or change in responsibility or things like that. And so having those ninja skills, I can see would be valuable for all of us. So tell me about the framework that you wrote about in your book.
In the book, it's about the 5 Ps
Okay.
of success, and
And
they are
yeah, I'd love to hear what they are.
plan, prioritize, practice, patience, and passion. And
Okay.
patience and persistence are kind of I use those interchangeably.
Yeah. Okay. So
Mm,
let's unpack. Do you want to unpack them each briefly?
of course.
Yeah.
Planning is just, having a direction. Where do you wanna go and what do you wanna do?
Mm-hmm.
It sounds so simple, but
Mm.
if you're just like, I want a new job. I want to get a side business. I want to do something on the side, but I don't know what. And just waiting for it to fall in your lap. It doesn't exactly happen like that.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be open. You have to be prepared. You have to actually just even sit down and think about it.
Yeah.
Sometimes people don't even think about what they
Mm-hmm.
want to do. I'll ask them a question. Well, what are you interested in? What would you like to do? I don't know.
Yeah. We used to say that if you don't put planning into your own career, someone will plan it for you.
Yeah. Right. Or even the classic, if you don't know where you're going, you'll certainly never get there.
That's right. Yogi Berra's famous quote, right? Yeah, I
Yeah.
use that a lot actually because I see that that relates to business owners, career people as well. If you don't know where you're going, you're never going to get there, right?
Yeah. And
What a
also,
waste of time.
it comes into you can chunk it down. Don't overwhelm yourself. Just
Mhm.
because someone asks you what your plan is, it doesn't mean you have to answer with a 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10-year plan.
Right.
You can have a plan for what you're going to do in the next 30 days, maybe the
Mhm.
next 90 days to
Yeah.
either get you started or keep you moving forward or to make sure you stay on track for what it is you want
Mhm.
to accomplish by the end of the year.
Yeah.
If you put that pressure on that you have to have this fabulous answer.
Well, I was just saying to someone yesterday, I was working with a bunch of women entrepreneurs and we were in a book study together. We were talking about like, it's interesting because we used to in the corporate world say you should have a 1, 3, 5 year plan. But I'll tell you, even a year ago, things are so different because of AI. We could never have had a 1, 3, and 5 year plan. It would be completely out the window. Right. Because things are changing at such a rapid pace right now. So I do think there's a lot of value into chunking that down and, being certainly open to all the change that happens, but not banking yourself on something that's going to happen in 3 to 5 years because the one thing we know is constant is change. But I love that you have plan in there because it is so important to be intentional about your own career.
Yeah. And you have to be your biggest advocate. No one's going to do it for you.
Yeah.
They used to, and people still expect that in corporate America, which is strange. They're like, "Oh, my manager didn't do this for my career and help me with it." You have to say to your leader, "This is where I want to go. This is what I want to do. What are
Hmm.
some ideas, or how can you help me? How can you guide me?" But they're not going to do it all for you.
No.
So it's really interesting that that still is out there, that perception.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay. So we did plan. What's the next one?
Prioritize. And I
Okay.
spoke about that earlier, and I said ruthless prioritization.
Mm-hmm.
A simple of example of that is, I know it's an oldie but a goodie, it's a classic from Brian Tracy's Eat the Frog,
Mm-hmm.
which
Great
is
book.
just do the one thing that is stopping you from doing everything else, the
Mhm,
thing you like to do least. Once you get that out of the way, then you are free to do so many other things. And that
mhm.
applies personally and professionally. So
Yeah,
if it's at work and you're supposed to, every week you have to do this report on Tuesdays for your leadership or for the team, and you put it off, you put it off, and you put it off, it just weighs on you. You end up not having a very good Monday because you're still stressed out about Tuesday. You haven't done the report and the hours are ticking by. And Tuesday at 10 a.m. is getting closer and closer. And it's 4 o'clock on Friday and you haven't started it. And then it's 8 o'clock at night. And it drains your energy
yes.
when you have something that is your least favorite thing that you know you can do and needs to get done.
Mhm.
What I practice is doing that first
Yeah,
as soon as possible so that the rest of your time is free. If you were to do the 2 o'clock, the information that needed to be done on Tuesday at 10, on Monday by 10 or 11, think about what your Mondays would be like. The
yes.
rest of the day would be so free. So at work, in workplace, and same, even if it's at home, let's say you don't like to clean the bathroom
Yeah,
and you're having guests come over for the weekend and you know you have to make the beds, change the linens, do the dishes, vacuum and mop, and clean the bathroom. So what happens? You get home from work and you know what your list is. You do all these other things. You start cleaning the glass
yeah,
at the front of the house. You do all these other things that might be productive, but aren't what really needs to get done. That guest bathroom needs to be cleaned.
yeah.
You put it off, you put it off. By the time you get to it, you're exhausted. So you've got to
Mhm.
clean this guest bathroom, but it's 11 o'clock at night the day before they come, and you're exhausted. And the whole thing is miserable. Whereas if you had done that first, everything else would have been like, oh, this is no problem. So
Yeah.
that is what I mean by ruthless prioritization, not necessarily what you like to do, but what needs to get done, and then doing that first.
Mhm. That's good. That's great advice. And then we have do you have them in order? Does it matter the
I
order?
do. I
Okay.
do.
Okay, so I'm gonna
Practice.
let you tell me the order.
Practice,
Okay.
which is a fancy way of just saying sharpening your skills, always
Mhm.
be learning, improving. We mentioned now more than ever, things change so quickly. Whatever skills you had to get the job you have now, or even whatever skills you were measured on last year for your last performance review, are going to be could be different this year. And they could change or vary. So you really need to stay on top of whatever's going on in your world, no matter what field you're in,
Mhm. It's so
and
true.
make time for it. Make time for, you could be watching a podcast. I mean, it doesn't
Mhm.
have to be formal, but you
Yeah.
do need to make sure you are on top of whatever is happening in your world. There are no organizations, there's no industry where it doesn't matter. If you're in fast food, even fast food is changing in a way where you need to know how they're doing business differently. Or if you're in that industry, you need to be up to speed to that. Of
Mhm.
course, medicine, hospital. I mean, it can get really technical, but
Yeah.
the simplest things still need to know what's happening in your industry.
Yeah, I don't do one-on-one career consulting anymore, but I used to, and I can't stress enough staying relevant on skills. I will mention my own brother. Yesterday, we were talking, and I have 3 brothers, but we were talking, and um, he said something about, you know, either trying to get promoted in his current company or looking for something else, and I said, you're going to have to do a LinkedIn profile. And he has resisted for many years. And, we're in our 50s. And he said, do you think it really matters at my age? And I said, it matters more at your age than you could even imagine. Right. And so just keeping up on the skills that are required for all industries is, for your industry, but there's no industry that's like exempt from having change. Right. And so I just think, gosh, keeping up on skills is so, so important. And there's so many free ways to get
Yes.
skills
Yeah.
training these days. I mean, just go online and look, Stanford, IBM, Google, so many free training
So many
out
free
there.
courses
Yeah,
in
LinkedIn
many
Learn.
different industries.
So,
There's a lot out there.
yes, for sure.
Next is a persistence,
Okay.
because it's important to remind people that it may not happen on your times table.
Mm,
Things, even getting promoted, it doesn't happen as quickly now as it did just 3 short years ago. The
mm,
whole process is different. What's looked at is different. Companies are making different decisions. They are
mhm.
becoming flatter now,
Yeah.
all of them. So they're not necessarily looking for leadership. So perhaps what you need to do is go horizontal to get
Hmm.
up higher, because everything is just different.
Yeah.
So as you're doing these things, and if your brother's looking for a new role or to get promoted, he's going to have to take on a lot of persistence and patience,
Hmm.
because it's not happening as quickly as it used to, and that is just something that everyone has to adjust to,
Yeah.
because what got you there won't keep you here, and it certainly isn't gonna get you ahead.
Yeah. I would say the same is even for external hiring, right? So for internal
Absolutely.
promotions and external hiring, I mean, the hiring timeline is getting longer and longer, which is sad because we have all this technology that's supposed to be helping us, but the hiring timeline is pretty long.
Well, it's very competitive out there.
Yeah.
Things have changed, the market, the economy, the macro economy has changed,
Yes. Yeah.
which then means it's impacting hiring.
Hmm.
Now companies can be a little bit more selective, and
Yeah.
they have a larger pool of candidates with the similar skills
Similar
or
skills. Yeah.
skills that they want, and few people have them because everyone's saying, I'm already fantastic. I've been doing this for 20 years.
Right.
And it literally does not work like that anymore.
No, we live in a recognition economy now. It's not just based on reputation. And so, we can have the degrees and we can have the certifications, which are very, very, credible. However, visibility and networking and relationships are really what speeds up a lot of the job process.
Yes. And then finally, the final P is passion, which is not the passion of just go do whatever makes you happiest. It's the passion of you need to enjoy what you do. You should, if you're going to look externally or have a side job, it needs to be something that you are interested in and that you feel confident doing. There's
Hmm.
no point in just saying, I've heard that everyone's looking for program managers. So I'm going to put all my effort into being a
Mm,
program manager and join PMI, project management, and get a PMI certification if it's not something that you're really interested in, right? Because
100%.
that is a recipe for disaster. And then people do that and then they wonder, well, why am I not getting promoted? It's because it shows in your work that you don't enjoy this,
Yeah,
right?
it really, really does. So when you look at the 5 Ps, which one do you think most professionals struggle with the most?
I would say persistence, because
Okay.
we are now in a instant gratification society. So our expectations are very different as far as how long it can take to accomplish things.
Yeah.
Back in our parents' generation or one generation before, it would take you a while to get
Mhm.
promoted, to move up. I mean, the expectation was 5 or 10 years and maybe
Yeah.
you'll get that promotion, not
Just crazy. It's
10
crazy.
months. I think that is really where people struggle. They just expect it to happen right away, and that's not what's happening.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that you're right. I mean, we just technology has changed how things happen too. And so we think that things are going to happen so much faster than we want. And I don't think we want to go back to the day where things took 5 to 10 years to get promoted. I certainly would not want to. However, having that persistence to see something through and build the relationships long term can really impact someone's career for sure. Yeah. I love how you say in your book, you use the phrase become unignorable at work. I want to hear more about that because I just am so curious and I know my listeners would be too.
Of course, yes. I'm speaking about visibility,
Mhm.
speaking about making sure your voice is heard.
Mhm.
Some of us, for many different reasons, whether it could be cultural or just our comfort level, is we don't share our wins and our successes enough
Mhm.
so that the people who are looking and listening realize that we are the best person for that new role,
Right.
or to be head of that project team, or to be leading when they're away on vacation.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily raising your hand, but making sure that you call out the things that you do that add value to the
Yes.
organization and fluff up your internal resume. I mean, everything
Mhm.
isn't about Career Ninja isn't about changing jobs. It will
Mhm.
certainly help you in transition, but you don't have to leave your company to be successful. You can stay right where you are in the role where you are. You can take some of the things in the Career Ninja mindset to stay where you are, but
Mhm.
stay happy. Make sure you're getting the highest annual performance review that you can get so that you then get the highest bonus or raise and you'd
Mhm.
stay there for 10, 15 years. If that's what makes you happy, then
Mhm.
continue doing it. But what you can do is figure out how to do it so that you're getting the most out of it, so that
Yeah.
you're unignorable. We love you. You're adding value. The company appreciates all that you do. It doesn't mean they have to promote you, but it does
Mhm.
mean that you can still benefit from that behavior, from being seen and heard.
Yes, yes, I love that. I think that visibility, I always say in the world of networking, because that's where I'm really focusing a lot of my time, is that visibility plus relationships equals opportunity. And, we can have great relationships, but without visibility in a company, we can be out of sight, out of mind. And then we can have all the visibility, but not the relationships. And then there's lack of trust. And
Right.
so I say that in networking, and I realize it really applies to what you're saying here too. You don't want to be the best kept secret on the team. We live in such a busy world. We can't just say, I expect my boss would know that. I thought they should just know that because that's not how it is right now.
Well, because they're overwhelmed with all the
Yes.
other things going on inside the organization, and
Yes.
they are not as focused on you as you are.
Mhm. Or even as you want them to be probably, right? Right? So it does take that initiative. And I'm really looking forward to diving into your book and I'm going to buy it for my brother. I'm going to go and buy it because I think that he would really like that right now too. Okay, so as we near the end of the episode, I would love to ask you if a listener today is here, listening to this episode or watching it on YouTube and they really only want to do one thing differently. What is the most important thing that someone could take away from this episode so that they could also move forward in their career?
I would say for them to lean in and have a conversation with the right person who can help them understand more, not
Mhm.
necessarily get ahead, because that's where we jump to. Who can do this for me? Who can give me a good recommendation? Who's going to help me be in a leadership role?
Mhm.
Maybe you need to work on improving your skills.
Yeah.
Who can help you understand yourself better, where your
Mm.
areas of opportunity are? Or if you know your areas of opportunity, then go and seek out those people. Is it a skill you need to improve on? Go and have that conversation. Is it leadership you need to improve on? Go and have that conversation. Is it, I'm not sure which direction to go into, but I'm kind of passionate about what they do over there on the project team, on the
Mhm.
project management side, of the program managers. Go and talk to a program manager and
Yeah.
find out about that department in your organization that works both internally and externally.
Mhm. I love that advice. I think that's a great first step is to really assess where you are now and focus on something you could do to develop yourself. I love it. Well, thank you, Alexis, so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be with us today. I love helping people with their careers, and I know you do too, because, sometimes in our seat as human resources or training and development, we have an inside peek and to how things work in companies. So I just appreciate you sharing your inside peek with us today, and want to just thank you for your time.
No, it's been my pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me.
I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of the People's Success Circle podcast. Please share it with a friend, leave a review. You can look at the show notes today to find out information on purchasing Alexis's book and learning more about hiring her for speaking opportunities. I'll see you on the next episode of the People's Success Circle podcast.